Hello waist and aspiring subbies, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to make a puffer tote bag. So if this looks like what you're interested in, then let's get into the main video. So to begin with, we're going to be making use of this crepe fabric. I'm going to be making use of one trouser for this particular puffer tote bag. Alongside with the crepe, I'm going to be making use of this plain surface fiber material. I'm also going to be making use of the raw fiber itself. So you can always get either of these at any cotton market or bedsheet market, or you can always get this at any store where they sell fiber. I'm also going to be making use of this zipper for our tote bag. So once I'm done with all of this, we proceed to the main tutorial video. Now I'm going to be laying my fabrics in a way it's going to be giving me 4 layers. So these 4 layers is what I will be working with. So I'm going to be making use of 15 inches as my length measurement on this fabric. So I'm going to proceed to marking this out. This 15 inches is also what I will be using as my width measurement. So I'm going to be making use of 15 by 15 inches as my bag body's measurement. Once I'm done marking out my different points, I'm going to go ahead to cut what I have here. After cutting my bag bodies, I'm going to proceed to cutting out the bag basement. So for this, I'm going to be using 5 inches as well. For the length, I'm going to be using 45 inches. Now take note that for the length of the bag I made use of 15 inches, while for the width of the bag I made use of 15 inches as well. So to achieve my base measurement, I'm going to add the 15 inches on both sides of the bag bodies alongside with the underneath measurement. That's going to make it 15 inches times 3, which is going to give me my 45 inches. I hope this is clear. So once I'm done marking my basement length measurement, which is 45 inches, I'm going to go ahead to cut what I have here. Moving on, I'm going to proceed by measuring the handle of my puffer tote bag. So for this, I'm going to be making use of 4.5 for my width measurement, while for my length measurement on fold I'm going to be making use of 13.5. The next thing to do now will be to cut out what I have here. So I'm going to be doing this by slashing the sides of what I have here. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to cut the longer strap of my puffer tote bag. Just because I have a limited fabric here, I'm going to what I have here is 26 inches and I need about 40 inches. So I'm going to be cutting 26 inches and I cut about 25 or about 15 or 16 inches additional fabric, just so that I can join this later on. So I'm going to be making the width of this 2.5 inches and that is on fold. So altogether that makes it 5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to cut this. So I'm going to be repeating the same thing on the other portion of my fabric as well. Since our puffer tote bag is going to be having a zipper, so I'm going to be forming a flap around the zipper area. So to achieve this, I'm going to be measuring 16 inches as my flap length measurement. So this 16 inches was derived from the actual width of our bag body, which is 15 inches, and I added 1 inch to make it 16 inches, which will serve as our seam allowance. So the width of this is going to be 4.5 inches. So I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to also cut another additional flap because we're going to be making use of 2 flaps. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to cut out my fiber. I'm going to be using the measurement I have on my fabrics while on double folds. I'm going to be using it to cut out my fiber. So we made use of 4.5 inches as the fabric's width. So for my fiber I'm going to be making use of 2¼ Now what I have here is 2 layers out of my bag body. So I'm going to be dividing my 15 inches width measurement into 3 different rows, which is going to give me 5 inches. So I'm going to do this to form a straight line in 3 different places. Once I'm done marking out my horizontal line, I'm also going to go ahead to mark my vertical lines, measuring 5 inches each as well. I'm also going to replicate the same thing on the other 2 layers of my puffer tote bag. So my fellow sewists and aspiring sewists, since we made use of 5 inches to form our rows on the bodies of our puffer tote bag, we're also going to be making use of that 5 inches on our tote bag basement. So this is the basement, this is what is going to form the basement of the bag itself. So we're making use of 5 inches. So I'm marking 5 inches on my 45 inches length for my base measurements. Now this is where the main work is. So I'm going to be sewing on this side of my fabric, moving to the next side, then moving to the other side. So once I'm done, I will sew the center part, just as you can see me illustrate in this video. I've gone ahead to sew those parts, and now I'm shedding my fiber because I want it to be very fluffy on the bag. After shedding a little amount, I'm going to proceed by inserting it into the different rows I have. So after stitching the center of my fabric, I have like 3 different rows already. So I'm going to be inserting these rows into rows, just as you can see me illustrate in this video. So after inserting my fiber into the different rows, this is what I have. You can see that there is a cross line above where I inserted my fiber, so I'm going to be sewing across the line so that we can have another row to insert our fiber on. I hope this is clear at this point. If at this point you feel the fiber in your different rows is not sufficient, always feel free to add more to it, because the goal is to make your bag very puffy. Since I have what I want, I'm going to proceed to sewing across the lines of my row so I can move to the next stage. Sewing across this line means that automatically I've sealed my first row, so I'm going to move to the next row. After completing my second row, I'm also going to be sewing across this line, then we'll move to the next phase. Now I've gone ahead to seal the second row, so I'm going to also fill in the third row. Now that I am done with the third row, I'm also going to be sealing this, but before then I'm going to be pinning this down. So once I seal this part, I'm also going to go ahead to repeat the same process on the other side of my bodies as well. If at all you're going to be customizing on your puffer tote bag, the customization should come before you insert your fiber into your bodies. So once you're done pasting your inscription, then you can proceed to inserting your fiber on the different boxes we have here. If at this point you're not getting it right, that means something is wrong, so please kindly go back to watch the video. So after working on the other side of my bag bodies, this is what I have. So I've gone ahead to customize on the other side. I did that before inserting my fiber, so always take note of this. Moving on, the next thing to work on will be the basement of my puffer tote bag. So I'm going to be repeating the same thing I did on the bag bodies on the basement as well. So I'm going to go ahead to stitch the marked lines, which is about 5 inches. I'm going to go ahead to stitch that. At this point I'm done stitching, and you can see the different spaces we have. So I'm going to be inserting my fiber into these different spaces so as to make it puffy. So after sewing, this is what I have. So I'm going to be attaching this to the body of my puffer tote bag. As you can see, we also have 3 different boxes on each row. So I'm going to be attaching 3 different boxes from my basement to the 3 different boxes on each row. So you can see that the side is having 3 boxes, the downside is also having 3 boxes. So I'm going to make sure that this is aligning with what I have on my bodies. I hope this is also clear. Now I'm also going to be repeating the same thing on this side, following the same pattern I used previously. So once I'm done pinning this down, I'm going to go ahead to sew. This is the result of what we have after sewing. So I'm going to be flipping this to the right side so you can have a clear view of the result of what we have. So at this point, you can see that our bag is already taking a shape. So if you're going to be trying this, let me know in the comment section. Moving on, I'm going to proceed to go ahead to sew the handle of my puffy tote bag. So after sewing, this is what I have. So I'm going to proceed by inserting my fiber into these two different handles I have here. I'm also going to shade it just as you can see me illustrate in this video, then I insert. After inserting, this is the final look of what I have. As you can see, it is puffy already. So now I move to the next stage, which will be the flap of the zipper. So for the zipper flap, I'm going to fold it like this, then I go ahead to seal the different edges. I'm going to go ahead to seal this part. Now I'm done sealing this, and I'm going to be inserting my fiber to fit into the measurement I have here. So the measurement is about 2 inches width, while the length is about 15 inches thereabout. Now that I have my zipper flap ready, I'm going to go ahead to insert my zip. I'm going to carefully place them close to the teeth of my zipper, just as you can see in this video, and I'm going to go ahead to sew. So this is the final look of our zipper flap, and this is how it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead to cut the excess we have here, and I'm also going to use a little fabric to form a closure around this area so the zip doesn't run out. So this is the final look of my sealed zip. Now I'm going to be attaching this with my bag handle to the top of my bag. So my bag handle is going to be coming first, and I'm going to be attaching it just as you can see in this video. So I'm going to attach it on this part of my box row. Once that part is secured, I'm going to be placing my zipper flap on my bag handle, but first I'm going to be pinning my bag handle so that it won't shift from the position it is. And I'm also going to place the other side of my handle on the position it's meant to be, then I go ahead to pin it down. So once I've secured this, I'm then going to place my zipper flap on it. So my zipper flap, I'm going to start from the point where you can see me attach it in this video. So I'm going to also make it fit into the other point. I'm going to repeat the same process on the other side as well. So after attaching my zipper flap and my bag handle, this is how it is looking like. But before I sew, I'm going to be cutting out my strap allowance. For the strap allowance width on fold, I'm making use of 1.5 inches, while for the length, I'm making use of 8 inches because I'm going to be dividing the 8 inches into 2, which will give me 4 inches per different strap. Actually, I ended up reducing the strap length by 1 inch. I made it 3 inches because I don't need it to be too long because I'm going to be folding it. I'm going to go ahead to sew the strap, both straps. I'm going to go ahead to sew them. For the strap, I'm going to be making use of these accessories. We have the D shape, we have the holder and the legs. So I'm going to be inserting the D shape just like this, and I'm also going to do the same thing for the other strap as well. So I'm going to be inserting this at the side of my bag. So this is where it is going to be fitting into. So I'm going to also repeat the same thing for the other side as well. Just because I want to give my puffer bag a very good and neat finishing, I'm going to go ahead to cut out my lining. So for my lining, I'm going to be measuring 19 inches for the width, while for the length, I'm going to be measuring 13.5 inches. So once I'm done measuring this, I'm going to go ahead to sew these angles of my lining. So at the downside of my lining, I went ahead to cross stitch it, and to achieve this, I went in by 1.5, and this is to make my lining wider for my bag. So after turning my lining to the right side, I proceeded to inserting my lining into my bag like this. So if you're following me, you have to make sure that you carefully pin this to your bag. Make sure that the handles and everything is inside the lining, just as you can see in the video. So the side of the lining should be at the side of the bag, just as you can see in the video. So carefully pin all this around. So once you're done and you're able to pin this, then you proceed to sew. So that is what I'm going to be doing now. So this is the final look, and for my closure I loosened this part and I was able to bring out my bag from this part, so I closed it afterwards. Now for my longer strap, I repeated the same thing I did for my bag handle, and initially we cut out 2 pieces for this, so I already gone ahead to join and arrive at this point, and this is me inserting my fiber into it just like I did for the handle. Here I'm going to be attaching this holder to my strap. This is going to serve as my longer strap, so I'm going to be attaching it like this, and I'm going to go ahead to pin this down so I can sew this on my sewing machine. Finally, this is the end result. If you watched till this point, this is me saying thank you so much for always watching and engaging my videos. If you would love to try it, let me know in the comment section. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. This is not a bye-bye video. I'll see you in my next video.